It's a case that sent shockwaves across Chennai. The victim, an American resident, has now broken her silence on NDTV and recounts how she was allegedly drugged in a popular discotheque in the city, possibly sexually assaulted and left on the road in a semi-conscious state the next day. 26-year-old Kelly Baker, a school teacher, has told NDTV's Sanjay Pinto that she now suspects some sort of hush-up as the police is denying the existence of medical test samples.
Ms. Baker, there have been many missing links in this particular case. Can you actually set the record straight and tell us what exactly happened that night in the hotel?
That night, my husband and I went with my friend to dinner at a hotel near the consulate, and we had our dinner. My husband went home because he wasn't feeling well, and he sent the car back to the hotel to pick us up. At that point, my friend and I decided to go to a discotheque in another hotel in Alwarpet. We entered the discotheque around 1 o'clock in the morning. We got a bottle of wine. We were talking to each other, just chatting, looking at people. I went to the restroom.
Were you away from your glass at any point? Did you see the wine being poured into your glass? Was it in your sight?
We saw the wine being poured. The first time I left the glasses was to go to the restroom shortly after we arrived. And I came back.
So you left the glass unattended?
Yes. I came back from the restroom, continued to talk to my friend. There were people dancing nearby, so I stood up and was dancing.
Okay, and what do you remember next?
The next thing I remember is being on the road walking. I remember the sun was coming up and I was walking on a road. Then after that, the next thing I remember is being in the car with the two men who found me on the side of the road in Ananagar. And they kept asking me where I lived so that they could take me back to my home. My husband tried to call the police. The police hung up on him. At that point, we got into an auto and went to Apollo Hospital. At the hospital, they did a pap smear, and they also did swabbing of areas to test for semen.
Have you got the test report?
We haven't. The hospital told us that the test report would be ready later that week. When I called them for the test results, the pathology department had no record of me, and when I got in touch with Dr. Vinutha, the doctor who took the samples, she said that they could only be processed by the police. So,
do you know if the police has the samples now?
We know that they do not. We've contacted them daily since we filed the report. The mention of the samples is in my report, and the police have ignored all of our claims to collect the samples. They tell us that they don't exist. Right now, my main concern is that the evidence is not being collected properly because we know that there's evidence at Apollo Hospital. We know the doctor who's holding the evidence at Apollo Hospital, and the police refuse to collect the sample.
But do you have suspicion that there could have been a sexual assault?
There are injuries on my body underneath my clothing that would not have been able to be inflicted without removal of my clothing, and that's all I know for sure.
He's the new